So the reason why I don't want to look into either cameras is I'm still uncomfortable around cameras. You know, especially when I'm the one being looked at. You know, when the camera is pointed at me, I feel like people staring at me like this, and I'm very uncomfortable with that. So that's why usually I don't like looking into the cameras. I think it's one of those things I'll just never get comfortable with, honestly. I don't know. Right now it makes me uncomfortable to have two cameras pointed at me like that. First, that I'm a musician, singer, producer, songwriter, and I have big goals in the music world. You know, I want to do a lot of things, and I want to do a lot more than what I'm doing now. You know, that would probably be the first thing. That I am actually not comfortable letting people know things about me. That'd probably be the first thing. But you know, if I was to give people any insight on who I am very quiet, and yeah, I like to keep my cards close to my chest. I don't like to let people in on what I do and stuff. So that would probably be the main thing. Gabon, from Gabon. We just crossed the 2 million line a few years ago. That was a big deal to me because for most of my life, from as far back as I can remember until I graduated high school, we were told we were 1.5 million, which seemed a little crazy to me because I was like, wait a minute, I've been told that for 10 years. And you mean to tell me that nobody died, nobody was born for 10 years, 1.5 million people. I think last year, a couple of years ago, someone told me that we just crossed 2 million, and I was like, shit, it's about fucking time, you know. So yeah, small country. But there's a lot of things to say. I don't even know where to start with. The weather is great. It's hot and humid. People don't like the humid part, but it's hot. People are nice, welcoming. The food is great, but that's subjective too. I'm from there, so there's a lot of bias in that. There's a lot of good nature to see. We have 13 national parks across the country, and they're all worth a visit. I haven't visited any. Don't ask me why, but I've heard people reviews, so I know it's a lot of, and I've seen pictures, so I know it's great. We had a lot of different tribes too. You know, part of, it's still a debate, biggest one or the second biggest one. And each tribe has their own, you know, traditions or whatever, foods. So culture-wise, there's a lot of things to see. There's not a lot of major cities. I would say there's like two: the capital where I was born, where I grew up, and another city which is called Port-Gentil. There's also a lot of history too, because my country used to be a French colony. So there's a lot of buildings and stuff that, you know, go all the way back to those first contacts between France and my country and what became my country. I don't even know how to describe it. I don't know how to describe it to someone who's never listened to it or been to the country. It's very unique. It's basically a blend of all forms of international music, hip hop, jazz, whatever, blended in with local, you know, traditional sounds. A lot of it is also inspired from other countries' music. Like Nigeria's music scene is huge now. They have like the Burna Boys and Davidos or whatever. And so a lot of the music people make in my country is drawn from those. But it still has its own spice, its own spin. It's not hugely popular for the most part outside of Gabon. In some countries, you know, we make waves in some countries sometimes, but outside of the continent, our artists are not that well known, you know. But we have there's a lot of potential there. You know, I hope one day I'll get my chance to contribute because I have a lot of ideas in terms of, you know, what I can bring to that, you know. It's probably my country's own version of Bob Dylan. I don't know how fair a comparison that is, but his name is Pierre Akedengue. And he's basically like a local artist from, I think his first music came out in the 70s or 80s, something like that. And his music was very political to the point where he had to leave the country for a good 10 years or something. But he's a local legend in the country. He's fairly well known in France and across the continent. And I would probably pick him because his music influenced all the generations of artists that follow him from all across the board, from rappers to other folk singers, whatever. And he's definitely one of the artists that I will draw inspiration from with some of the material that I'll work on later. When people hear my name, especially in my country, they're gonna assume I'm from there. You know, I want people from my country to see that connection, even though the music I'm making now is nothing like what they listen to or what they do over there. But it's a good way for me to keep in their mind that I'm from here too. Even though I'm doing something that's different, I'm still one of your own, you know. Some names are specifically from a specific tribe. My name speaks my tribe. There's no confusion with that. If you know what, if I tell you, even if you don't know what tribe I'm from, you hear my name, you know. You know, Nzebi people, my tribe, the tribe's name, they might know that, you know, based on my name that I belong to like the Nzebi group. Nzebi. You can kind of write it the way you want. Some words, there's like established way of writing them, but for the most part, you just write it how you feel, how you hear it. I told everybody I didn't know what to do with my life, which was a lie because I knew what I wanted to do. It's just one of those things you can't tell people. Most of them are gonna look at you like,
Are you crazy?
okay, so what do you really want to do? Like, it's nice and cute with the music shit, but really, what do you want to do? You know. And one of my sisters suggested that I do, you know, she suggested I try programming because I was on my laptop all the time, which actually has zero thing to do with programming. Everything I was doing on my laptop was about music. I didn't even know what programming was until like months before I came to France. So after high school, I stayed in my country for a year. I went to a local, you know, school for computer science, but it sucked. Nothing was going right there. And for some reason, we got cut from the system. So after I got there, I had no money. And since the school sucked, well, the decision was, you know, for my family to send me to France, where I already had some of my siblings. And actually, I was supposed to come the year before, but when I was in high school, my last year in high school, I fucked up all the things that you're supposed to do, you know, because I was so low, so confidence low. I didn't even believe I would graduate. I thought I was that bad of a student. So by the time I did graduate, I was like, oh shit, now what? I'm not gonna live long if I have all those ideas in my head and I can't, you know, get them out. I want to live long, so I'm gonna do whatever it takes. First thing I'd probably say is relief, because now I have I have it in my hands. It's not in my head anymore. It's out, so I can see it, and I can fine tune it, make it better maybe than what I thought it would be in my initially. And then the second feeling is sometimes satisfaction, because sometimes it comes out exactly how I thought it would. Some other times like frustration, because you hear it and you go, it sucks. And now how can I make it more closer to what I had in mind first? But it's always a debate for myself, because sometimes I also think when you overthink your creative process, you kind of edit yourself out of your, what I call the raw emotion, you know. The first thing that comes out, this is as raw and honest as you can get. When you think that the first thing that came out of you is not good enough, it's some kind of self-arrogance when you think it has to be better than this, but better than what? That's the thing, you know. What is that supposed to be better than? That's how you felt, that's how it came out, that's it, you know. And when you start thinking to yourself that it must be better, then you're just saying, no, I'm better than that, but no, that's how you felt. It's there. Are you afraid of it? Are you uncomfortable with it? Whatever, but that's how it felt. It's right there in front of you. Now, either you accept it as it is, or you're trying to, you know, throw some sugar in it and make it sweeter than it should be. And it's not always going to be sweet. Sometimes it's going to be ugly, it's going to be uncomfortable, it's going to be scary, but it's how you feel. Oof. The music that I wrote for DTs made me a little bit uncomfortable. What I wanted to express with this project was a little bit of frustration and discomfort too, you know, with things that we do in life sometimes that we feel we can't live without. We actually can sometimes, but you know, because we already have that habit of dealing with those things every day, we're like, well, it's there, so it might as well just stay there. Need time. It's probably the one that, you know, expresses how I feel most of the time. First, I remember I had another song in mind. I was writing a totally different song, and I think the drum pattern was already the same, the bass line also kind of the same, and I was trying to do something very different, which I didn't like. I didn't delete it, it's still there, but I just didn't use it. I decided to reuse it as something else. The lyrics actually came about a bit later, and around the time the lyrics came, that's kind of how I got the current melody together. And the song, I didn't finish it until I had to do it live, because I had the first two verses done and the first two choruses, and I didn't know what to do after. So I was practicing at home, and I kind of figured out how to, end it. So that's kind of how the song came about. Shit. A lot of fun. I'll make it fun, I'll make it a little explosive. I'll put a little bit of everything in that performance, I try to make it diverse and colorful enough so people can come and have a good time. The first feeling was excitement. I was like, oh shit, they actually picked me. So yeah, after the happiness of finding out, being told I was picked, now let's get to work. We'll be ready. I'm not worried. See you soon. Stay tuned.